It began on the day the rain ceased, not just for a season, but it felt like forever in the small, sun-baked village of Kianja. His words were a whisper, a venomous current beneath the surface of a calm lake. Barren. The air thickened, a physical weight pressing on her chest, stealing her breath. Each woven mat, each clay pot, each faded photograph, screamed his name, his promises, now so hollow, so utterly meaningless. She couldn't walk to the market without feeling eyes burning into her back, without hearing the muffled giggles, the pitying sighs. The silence in her home was deafening, amplified by the raucous laughter from Majib's new hut, just meters away. She remembered the chill that settled deep in her bones, a coldness that no midday sun could dispel. The market, once a vibrant tapestry of sounds and smells, became a gauntlet she dreaded. Her days became a monotonous cycle of waking, of staring at the ceiling, of the crushing weight of emptiness. She remembered the tightness in her throat, a knot of unspoken grief and rage. One searing afternoon, as the sun beat down relentlessly, driving everyone indoors, Amara found herself by the dried-up riverbed, a place she often sought for solitude. What purpose is there for me now? What is a woman without a child, without a husband who wants her? A tiny, dried-up seedling, struggling to push through the cracked earth near the baobab tree. A tiny, defiant spark in the vast desert of her despair. The woman staring back was gaunt, hollow-eyed, but within those eyes, she saw a flicker of defiance. But alongside the pain, a new emotion began to bloom, anger. Mama Ngozi listened, her face unreadable, occasionally nodding, her hands, surprisingly gentle, resting on Amara's shoulder. The idea was startling, almost scandalous in its unconventionality. Amara began the regimen of herbs Mama Ngozi prescribed, bitter leaves, root powders, strange concoctions she drank with trepidation. And then, one morning, a few drops. The revelation was not a sudden explosion, but a quiet, powerful unfolding. She, Amara, the barren woman, had milk. Her body, deemed empty, was in fact, full. The first sale was an accident, a desperate plea. A young woman, newly widowed, her baby sickly and refusing the goat's milk that was all she could offer, approached Amara with tears streaming down her face. She had heard the whispers, the strange rumors about Amara and Mama Ngozi. Desperation overriding societal norms, she begged Amara for help. Amara, looking at the tiny, fragile infant, felt a primal ache in her chest. She offered her milk, not for money, but from a place of deep compassion. The baby suckled, slowly at first, then with a greedy desperation. The next day, the baby was stronger, its cries more robust. Word spread, not as gossip, but as a quiet, urgent buzz. Amara, the barren one, has milk. Initially, there was skepticism, even scorn. How could a woman who hadn't birthed a child produce milk? It defied all natural laws. Some whispered of witchcraft, of dark pacts. But then, the evidence mounted. Sickly babies thriving. Mothers, unable to lactate, finding solace and sustenance for their infants. The power of reputation, once her undoing, now began to work in her favor, slowly, painstakingly. The initial slander of barrenness was being challenged by the undeniable evidence of life. The decision to ask for money was not easy. It felt mercenary, profane. But Amara had nothing. Majib had left her with little, and her small savings were dwindling. She needed to survive. Mama Ngozi, sensing her apprehension, spoke sternly, "This is your labor, Amara. Your body's gift. You offer life. Is that not worth something?" So, she set a price, a small one, enough to buy food, to sustain herself. Her small hut, once a symbol of her solitude, became a place of hushed visits. Mothers, their faces etched with worry, would arrive under the cloak of dawn or dusk, seeking her aid. She would sit, quiet and dignified, and offer her milk, sometimes directly from her breast, sometimes carefully expressed into a clean gourd. With each feeding, with each infant she nourished, a profound sense of purpose bloomed within her. The search for authentic purpose and connection, once a distant dream, was now her reality. She was not a mother in the traditional sense, but she was a life-giver, a nurturer, a vital thread in the fabric of her community. One sweltering afternoon, a familiar shadow fell across her doorway. Majub. His face was drawn, his usual arrogance replaced by a subtle unease. His new wife, it turned out, had birthed a child, a son, but she had fallen ill shortly after, her milk drying up. The child was failing. He had swallowed his pride, followed the whispers, and come to Amara. The sight of him, the man who had so casually cast her aside, brought a surge of old pain, a raw, bitter taste to her mouth. But looking at the tiny, wailing infant in his arms, her heart, once so hardened, softened. This child, his child, was innocent. This child needed her. And in that moment, the revelation came, clear and sharp as a desert star. The plot twist was not external, but internal. It wasn't a hidden truth about Majub, or a secret pact he had made. The twist was in Amara herself. The twist was her capacity for unconditional compassion, for a love that transcended betrayal, a love that saw beyond personal hurt to the universal need for sustenance, for life. She took the child, her movements deliberate, her eyes meeting Majub's with a newfound strength that surprised even herself. She said nothing. She simply unlaced her cloth and offered her breast. The infant latched on, weakly at first, then with a surprising vigor. As the child suckled, a wave of profound catharsis washed over her. It wasn't forgiveness in the sense of excusing his actions, but a release from the chains of resentment and bitterness. It was a forgiveness of self, for believing his words, for allowing his judgment to define her. In that silent act, a new union was forged, not between her and Majub, but between her true self and the universe. She was no longer defined by barrenness, but by abundance. She was no longer a victim, but a source of strength. She was not alone, she was connected to every desperate mother, every hungry child, every beating heart in the village. The love she had yearned to pour into her own child now flowed freely, abundantly, a river of life sustaining others. Majub, humbled, watched her, a strange mix of awe and regret in his eyes. He tried to speak, to apologize, but Amara simply raised a hand, stopping him. No words were needed. The truth was in the soft suckling sounds of the baby, in the steady rhythm of life that flowed from her body. The solution was not revenge, but a profound understanding that some forms of love are deeper, more resilient, than any personal slight. It was the love of life itself, a love that encompassed the entire community, a love that had transformed a barren woman into a spring of miracles. And in the heart of Kianja, where strange things often happened, where the line between reality and myth often blurred, Amara, the woman who sold her breast milk, became a legend, a testament to the extraordinary power of a woman's spirit.